There we go. Hey, here we are. Uh, a man who shows up, just possibly just, you'll know the face, just outside Toronto. Hello, Smax Smith. How are you?
Hi, Nige. Hi,
Yeah,
British European drag racing fans and racers, and oh my God, all my family back home. Hi,
yeah.
everyone.
We've just been mentioning names for you as well. Yeah, we'll mention some of them in a minute. So, right. So, last time we chatted, but obviously it didn't do what we wanted it to do. But so let's talk about when you initially got going, drag racing, and how you started and where you are now. But let's just do the early days then.
Okay. Well, to put it all into perspective, this is my 51st year of racing, and I've never missed one season of driving something in 51 years. So that's a long time to be doing anything, even if it's fishing. But anyway, so that's the question, how did I start? Well, I had no mentors, so I didn't have a family or a dad or anything who was into cars or drag racing or anything like that. I'd never heard of it, nor had I don't think I'd physically seen an American car back when I was a kid. And I was a dad at 17. Thought, oh my gosh, my life's over. But I always loved cars. So I had an old Woolsey and got my mate to paint it up, John Player special. And I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. A 6 cylinder instead of a 4 cylinder shit box. And I was only 17. And then my best friend, Odgie, the famous Crazy Odge, he came
Yeah.
around to see me in an American car, a 68 Ford XL. And to me, I just thought an aircraft carrier had landed in the housing estate. I was going, what the hell's that? And oh yeah, well, we went to Burton Wood and the Air Force Base, and we can buy these cars cheap from the Marines who come over and they do a 2 year stint in England and bugger off and of all these cars. So I said, right, I'm up for that. I said, but how do you insure it? And he said, well, we don't technically. He said, there's a loophole in the insurance. And he said, it's called the Road Traffic Act cover. He said, so if you insure a car, like a Mini or a Beetle, and then if you look at the small print, if you change cars and jump into a giant yank, you're covered until they kind of figure out what the costs are going to be and the liabilities or anything. So that period is on hold. So that covers you only for injury only. So we went on the premise that if we were in an American car without proper insurance and we hit somebody, we were covered. But if we smashed into a Rolls Royce, they'd have to sue us, and we didn't have any money anyway. So we did that for about 3 years driving American. So I jumped into a 64 Galaxy 390 Timber 15s, no money. I think I paid 250 quid for this thing. And we painted it, well, just put yellow flames down the side and just went terrorizing around. But at this point, I just got into the American car scene, never heard of drag racing. And then joined the Rainy City Cruisers, and we started going terrorizing Manchester with these big Yankee cars. And eventually, somebody mentioned about a trip to Santa Pod, a coach trip. So I said, yeah, American cars. So I went to the pod on the coach trip for the day. And oh my God, we've seen all these 11-second street cars, and it just blew my mind. Just blew my mind. And they had to send a search party to get us off the banking, say, come on, we got to go, we got to go. And I was just blown away by all these really, really fast cars. Back up a little bit, when I was a kid, I did see, American cars in magazines, and I did have a big cutout of Reg Hazelton's Thunderbird. It was a center spread, and I'd stapled that to my bedroom wall. So that was kind of a little subliminal there. That was, I had a blower on it, but that was
Yeah.
way out of oil. It was just pipe dream at that point. So yeah, so then I carried on with the street cars, and then I bought Odgie 68 XL because I remember that first minute seeing it and I loved it. So I bought that car and then subsequently crashed it. A wheel broke and hit the curb and destroyed the front end into a stone wall in up in Cumbria, visiting the Bardsey guys. So I couldn't afford to fix it. So I chopped the front end off and went drag racing at Melbourne. And so this turned up with his car and it looked like a piece of shit because all the, there's no bumper on it, no grill. The bonnet was creased a little bit, and then I'd sprayed primer over all the damage. But it was a 390 and it had 275 gears, so it only run like 15 seconds. But a quick,
Yeah.
quick hilarious story. is couldn't afford a line lock. So our burnout procedure was my buddy crawled underneath the car while it was running, clamped the rear flex line with mole grips. I did the burnout, backed it up. He crawled under it and took the vice grips off, and then we'd do our run. But that very quickly got banned because you imagine how dangerous it is, somebody crawling under your car. But that's good. So anyway, yeah. So from there, absolutely hooked, and we was running the XL, trying everything, and then, I was window cleaning on the side, got a bit of cash, to, rebuild the engine, trying to get it going faster. And I think I managed maybe a 15 or a 14. I can't remember if I broke the 15s into the 14s, but anyway, I got really friendly with Steve Tidswell. So Steve and Gene, they used to run a pop very successfully, and they were selling their pop. It was only a roller. It wasn't, with the engine or anything. So I went down, ended up buying that, and that was my first competition car. So stuffed a 327 and a 4-speed in it, and then we started going to Melbourne. And Melbourne to me was heaven. It's just like, it was the place to be. And the Murty family, absolutely amazing people. But I think in the early days, we did get banned from there because we used to take all the girls and all the partiers and, do all-nighters, fires and all that sort of stuff. And, of course, that upset a lot of racers at the time. And, we partied a little bit too hard. But for us growing up, best memories on the planet. So anyway, I carried on with this Anglia, finally got the thing. I ran 14 seconds, finally with it. And I remember kissing the roll cage. I was so happy to go from A to B in 14 seconds because I tried so hard. But to relate that feeling of elation, I don't think it ever really changes. So, I think once you've done something that you've really set out to do, that buzz is the top. So all the racers, all the people that we know, when they're in whatever class they can afford to be in or create to be in, once they've achieved whatever they've tried to do, be it the best 60 foot, the best 330, 8th mile, whatever, those feelings are real. And you're so elated that you're just so buzzed. But I think that's the bit that keeps me going. I have reached, after 51 years, you'll not even believe this, but at 51 years, I've been a racer, a driver, all my life. And I've reached a point now, I have no aspirations of winning anymore. It's because you go to NHRA and there's so much money that's out there, the chances of winning is so slim that I'm not doing it to win anymore. I'm doing it to be part of it and to get my own machine to do the best that I can. So, breaking all those incrementals. And we've got bloody close with no money and no sponsors, but actually get there, if you will.
So that's what's exciting for you now, isn't it? Because like you said, when we had a conversation before, you turn up at an NHRA meeting in your truck, your awning, and you got 18, 20 John Force trucks next to you. That's it, though, isn't it? That's what it's all about.
Yeah, we pulled in there with our trailer. It was a 3-axle trailer, but we'd blown a wheel bearing on the way down and didn't have one, so we had to pull the wheel off. So I sneaked in and we pulled inside in the middle of John Force's 12 tractor trailers on 5 wheels. So the looks of disdain on them all was hilarious, And I'm just going into their hospitality. Hey, can I get a cup of coffee?
And you got one, yeah.
Have landed.
Yeah. It's just that, like you said, you've been doing this so many years, and you're looking fantastic. But you said you're 71, is it now?
Yeah. 71.
Look.
Still fit.
Yes.
Clean windows, run up and down ladders.
Yeah. No paper rounds then.
No. I've always been a worker. Yeah, I'm not a hard work. Yeah. So I've done it all. We had nothing. We had no hopes, no chance of us. That's what I love about drag racing. It's just, whatever you put in, you can get out. So I like that.
Yeah. I mean, you've raced against Schumacher, you've raced against all of them. And, it must have been really, really good for you. Just the adrenaline side it's still there and everything, great times.
love it. I mean, when Belinda, my missus, when she says, "Oh, I'm just going to the shops," I say, "Yeah, there's a couple of quid." As soon as she's gone, I zoom into the shop and I'm servicing a cylinder head. You know what I mean? I'm just, I never stop. I just do
That's
what.
good.
Yeah. Just let me just tell you about the Tony. Like, I don't know if you know the story. You probably do because I did post it on Eurodragster, but it puts it all into perspective beautifully. So when I beat Tony Schumacher fair and square, I became the first Englishman to win a top fuel round in NHRA in 40 years.
Wow.
40
Wow.
years. Get your head around that a minute. Eh? It was
Yeah,
quite
yeah,
1977. It was the I mean, hers has been over, who's European, and he's won around, and a couple of the Europeans have, but I'm just,
yeah. I think Ida has now as well. She's done
yep,
well.
she's finished,
Yeah.
she's on that island.
Mm.
Yeah, she's a lovely
Yeah.
girl. I bump into her at NHRA, and I did
Yeah.
say that the European speed record. I was in the tower at the pod commentating a little bit, and she was, "Oh my God, she didn't know that." Because Suzanne got the speed record, and then Ida went and took it just after.
Yeah. Now, of
Yeah.
course, let's just talk about that quickly. About you coming back. So at some point would be really cool. Whether you're just visiting or whether you're bringing cars over, or you've got a car you could rent over here. Come over to Europe, come to Santa Pod. Be fantastic to have you here, wouldn't it?
Oh, I know. I've been back a couple of times and been to the pod a couple of times, and I've sat down with everyone and signed autographs and all that fun stuff, and super well received. Like the British fans are just amazing. It's just like I never went away. Everyone's going, "Oh my God, it's so good to see you," and everything. So, I mean, one of my pipe dreams is to still race at Santa Pod. I'd love to do it. So, Mikey McDonald, he's from Ireland. He helps on the Showtime team. I think he's crew chief now, and he's been over to Canada a few times and stayed with us, and he's actively working, trying to see if we can do something to get a car. Because I have a couple of chassis, I've got a couple of cars. I mean, I could do it. It's the financial logistics.
Yeah.
I'd have to have a workshop to work out of. I'd have to have transportation to the track. I'd have to be able to get some of our crew out from Canada or the States over to help. It's the working on the car. It's a lot of those things behind the scene, and we've got enough parts and pieces to do it. But financially, it's just overwhelming.
Yeah.
Only windows I can clean.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, there is the Shard in London.
Yeah.
you have You'll have to hang off of it, but they'll be all right, I'm sure.
What the hell?
Yeah. So it's just something for the future to look at, really. I think that'd be really cool. With so many people always speak about you. I mean, I mentioned some names to you. There's a name I want to mention that you beat by point do seconds. Tony Betts.
Oh my God, Tony, wonderful guy. I loved. So when I first came back, when I immigrated to Canada, came back on my first holiday, I was running my 35 Chevy mainline Menace at the time. So when I came back, I kind of gravitated towards all the Alki Altered guys. Was Charlie Draper, Tony Betts, and Bill Felstead, and just a whole bunch of them. And they just treated me like royalty. And I'd only just met them, and we became really, really good friends with all of them. And me and Tony, we go back. He was selling a whole bunch of stuff, and I went round to his place, met Elaine, and I bought a whole bunch of parts. Like I've always found, if you can borrow enough money and go and buy a job lot, you can flog a load of stuff off and get all your stuff you want for next to nothing. So believe it or not, all my stuff that I have now is cost me next to nothing because of the way I do it. But you've got to be that person who's on it, trying to work hard to hustle all the time. It's kind of shit, but what you got to do. I want to be in the sport. Like, I don't want to miss anything. I've got my boy coming up behind. That's why I've got a couple of cars. Aidan, man, he's wonderful. He's a complete all-rounder. He's not quite a tuner yet, but he understands it. He can build my car himself, start to finish, and he's a really good driver as well. So I've got that coming back. So I've got to be mindful. I've got to give him a shot as well. It's not all about Smax anymore, right?
No.
Well,
Now, obviously, is he a funny car driver? Is he top fuel driver? Could he be?
funny car, so he loves the funny cars. But remember, I had a nitro funny car, and I kind of got away from that after I crashed it and burnt it a few times, and doing all that work on my own. And you almost need a guy full time on the body. But to be honest, the funny cars are where it's at. I mean, look at your guys you've got over there, Dave Bryan. You know, those guys. They're just, you know, with Steve Ashdown, Kevin Kent. You know, they're just great. And now we got Bob Jarrett's brought, you know, Showtime back. That used to be Smuff against me in the day.
Yeah.
I think I set the second fastest speed in Europe with my funny car and behind Spuff, and that stood for like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, so, you got that. Then now you've got Dale Leaks as well. He's an adventure junkie.
I don't think I've met Daryl, that's all, but I certainly will next time I come back, you know, because I mean, of course, don't forget, I mean, Mark Hawkins used to race with him back in the day as well.
Yeah.
So they've had different drivers in there as well. You know, Phelpsy was in there, and just wonderful scene. So we're watching it like mad on the internet all the time. And quick funny story that you know, because I get forgetful sometimes, but just recently I went to I don't know if we spoke about this that all went screwed up, but I just went to IHRA North Carolina in Ohio, and I qualified number 7. So the qualifier, the first one we went out, we didn't get reversed because I had an injector issue and it had high idle after the burnout. So it was down to a last shot qualifying. And anyway, we were outside of the field because we hadn't run. And if you don't get in, if you don't qualify, you go home, right? So it was like kind of real major focus. Anyway, we managed to run I had a 7-cylinder. We didn't shut the car off. We lugged it down to 7 cylinders, although we didn't do any damage at all because it was 8 mile. And I ran a 3.2 at 260 mile an hour. So we got in at number 6. Well, it was number 6 at that point. I got bumped to number 7. But the point of all that story was, you guys are 5 hours behind. So 10:30 at night, after we qualified and got in everything, looked at the phone and it blew up. All the fans, loads of you guys had been waiting to see if I qualified. And they're all going, oh, congratulations, well done. I'm thinking, it's like 4 a.m. and they've just stayed up to see if I qualified.
Oh, yes, it happens.
Really wonderful. That was wonderful, you know. Just makes you just love what we do. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you've done IHRA, you've done the NHRA, you've done European, you're a European champion. You know, you've even done the events like the Bulldog Bash as well, and obviously sponsored by the Bulldog Bash. Amazing. What a career you've had.
Yeah, IHRA. Yeah, but I haven't forgot, we've got to go back to Tony yet as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awfully quick. But yeah, so NHRA, wonderful experience. I mean, I've met quite some characters. I mean, NHRA isn't as stuck up as what everyone thinks it is. It's just because you don't know. But I mean, I've had met so many wonderful people. I mean, there is a lot of money out there, and it is all business. Don't get me wrong, but amongst that, there is people like ourselves who've just, you know, done everything in their lives to get to where they are, and you know, and it's not even all about the money. I mean, I've never actually met properly Alexis Dujorier. Well, she's coming from an extremely wealthy background, but she's real. I just watched a podcast with her, and she's awesome. I can't wait to actually get to meet her. She's just a really awesome lady. I mean, she's the only girl now in Nitro Funny Car, running really, really, really strong. You know, and her whole life's been about, you know, coming up from the ranks, you know, Super Comp and Alcohol Funny Cars and all sorts of stuff. So, you know, like Del Worsham, you know, you world champions, all these people, I'm kind of hanging a little bit with them. You know, I'm humble, you know, I'll go in their presence, but they're just real people, and it's kind of amazing. But going back to the NHRA itself, it's just so difficult because they don't make you feel as welcome as I feel they should. IHRA is really going the opposite, trying to make sure everyone's happy. But, you know, like one time we had 6 bolts in our diaper thing under the oil pan.
Yeah.
And come out with a new rule, it's got to be 8 bolts. So I'd passed tech, gone through all the racing. So after I got knocked out first round, they came up and said, oh, you've only got 6 bolts, we've got to give you a fine. I said, what? He said, you've only got 6 bolts. I said, and he said, oh, did you not get the crew chief memo? I said, well, we're not in the crew chief freaking group. So I did. And they said, oh, it's $1,000 fine, American. I was like, no way. And so I bitched and complained. And in the end, they said, well, we'll talk about it. And I got a warning, an official letter warning. It's like, come on, you didn't even tell us. And then you make a new rule. They're just quick to fine you instead of giving you the benefit of the doubt. It's just stupid.
That's really funny, isn't it? Talking to you, Smax, yeah. But you're 2 bolts missing.
And all that. But anyway, let's go back to Tony.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, so yeah.
We became friends. So then I'm really into my 35 Chevy. It's the most fun car I've ever had. I loved, starting the Supercharged Outlaws along with Tony and all the gang there. Frank Bennett, Charlie Draper. There's a whole bunch of us. Even Frank Griffin, we just lost him, I believe. And yeah, it was just wonderful having the best times ever with them. But Tony was king of the hill. He'd run that 692. So I got my car. I was 70, 70, 70. And no matter what I did, I could not get this. But I knew that I had something wrong in the front end, because when it launched the car, when it came down, it would give a little sachet. So I might have to give a quick pedal and then it would just haul ass, right? And I was like, anyway, we got a guy from Lotus. We had Rob Lim helping us, the guy from Lotus. And he said, no, that is your issue. So we looked at it, and I think it ended up a Canute deal, but we had 3/8 bolts and 10 mil holes on the front end that was bolted on tight. It was tight, but when it landed, it freaking moved it each time. So anyway, so we thought, that's it, right, now we're going to get Tony's record. So I went to a miserable day in Avon Park, and kind of rain was threatening, and there wasn't even a Supercharged Outlaw meet. I think it was just, all the class racing that was on there. So we dialed in, I can't remember what it was, not Supercomp, but higher than that. I can't remember the name of the class. We dialed in something anyway. So got to our turn. So I dialed the 691, knowing that Tony's record was the 692, and then just give it all. And we ran a 692. So I was like, yeah. And I said, hang on, what was the third digit? Well, we didn't know. Shit, I mean, mine was with a 1, so Tony could have done it with a 1 and I'd equal it, or he could have done it with a 0. We didn't know. So I phoned him up, said, hey, what was that third digit on you? I've just run 692. He goes, I don't remember. So he said, I'm going to have to dig out the ticket. I said, oh, come on, Tony. Anyway, I think it took him about 5 days, and eventually, he called me up and said, congratulations, mine was with a 6. So I beat him by 5,000ths of a second. Which
fantastic.
I was cartwheels, and, to be king of the hill in an Alki altered was just wonderful. I think that stayed for like 7 years or something. I was the only, certainly I was the only altered over 200, because Tony's was like 196 and mine was 203. So I was fairly confident I got it, but I was the only altered in Europe over 200 mile an hour at the time. So that was a wonderful, fantastic achievement for me. And to be honest, I didn't think it was going to go any further than that, until, of course, then Stu came along with his alcohol dragster. So I buys an alcohol dragster. So I bought a bunch of parts off Tony and put them in the alcohol dragster. And we got that running mid-60s. But of course, the champions and the top of the hill broke into the 5s. So I never got into the 5s with that. But then I had the horrendous crash at Santa Pod, where it rolled 6 times at 200 mile an hour and all but destroyed the car. But I just walked away. Zero, no bruises or nothing, but the wheels flew off, everything was mangled, but the roll cage and the safety cell stayed intact. And I just had the roll cage done at Jeff House's. So I went straight over to Jeff and give him a high five. I said, hey, thanks, man. You do wonderful work, because I was lucky. I thought at the time I was going to die as I'm spinning over and over and banging my head off the cage. And I thought that was it. And I landed the right way up, and safety safaris there, we're going to get you to hospital. We've got to scramble the helicopter. And I'm saying, well, I think I'm all right. And I walked to the ambulance. And like they were saying, the equivalent of like your internal organs are swinging around at 200 mile an hour. You might have internal injuries. And I said, well, I don't think so. So anyway, so they kept me an hour and a half, cancelled the helicopter, kept checking my vital signs. Everything was fine. So eventually they let me go. So I went straight back to the pits, got an angle grinder and started chopping all the twisted metal off the car. And then we sent the chassis back to get the chassis redone again. So yeah, it was amazing. So I thought, well, I'm going to bounce back from that. So I thought, I know, let's buy a nitro funny car. So straight after crashing the dragster, we did fix it. And then I bought Alan Jackson's nitro funny car. So luckily, Alan was a wonderful guy. He went on, you know, he was a proper all rounder, you know, tuner, driver, builder, really knew his stuff. Loads and loads of respect for Alan. And luckily, he was prepared to help me as well. So he helped me get that car flying, and we got the Nitro Funny car into the fives. You know, we went 265 mile an hour on the quarter that at the time. So I kind of did everything I wanted to do with that, except I ended up crashing it, blowing up. In fact, one of the crashes was hilarious because, quick story again, if I've got time.
Yeah, go on.
So does my burnout at the Bulldog Bash, 30,000 people there. So I'm on my own. So I launched the car, blew an oil line off on the hit of the throttle under one tire. So the car completely turns left, up on two wheels, goes across the track like this on two wheels, T-bones the guardrail. The car spun round, the back end went over the back of the guardrail, but then the car went forward to the opposite guardrail, but I managed to get it stopped. But I'll never forget, as I'm hurtling towards the guardrail at 90 degrees to the track, there's two guys with their friend who's in a wheelchair. So the two guys saw me coming, and they run off, and they left their buddy there. Sounds like they thought I was going to T-bone him, but I did get it stopped. So scary, but it was kind of funny. I was perfectly all right, jumped out the car. So we towed the car over to the topless car wash place that they had going there, and they helped Smax get back on the track, and the fans threw in a couple of grand for me, you know, to get the car fixed.
Yeah.
But it hit so hard, it bent it to the rear motor plate. Yeah, so that was hard.
Yeah.
So again, we did fix it, but it was just getting financially, it was just getting impossible, you know, because I didn't have any parts back up. So when I bought stuff off Alan, you know, I had a block and then a short block, and I had a rack of pistons and rods. But I think the first 3 months I'd gone through all that and then burnt it twice and crashed it twice. So it was like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, and maybe I better go back to alcohol. So I put the car up for sale, and then I ended up doing a deal with Leith Hollander. Remember Leith?
Yeah.
Great guy. So we ended up switching cars. So he had a really good alcohol car, and I had this really good nitro car, but value-wise, they're about the same. It's just the running costs are different. So we did a straight swap, and so I started I was going to start a funny car driving school, you know, because I got loads of time with people, and although I'm like this, I'm kind of patient and like help people feel comfortable. I'm a dead easy guy to get on with, so I'm not, you know, because I clean windows, they think, oh well, if he can do it, I can. So I bring that to the table. So I was going to do a little bit of that, you know, like driving school stuff with a really nice alcohol funny car I got off Leith. So we're just about ready to get going on that. And then my great friend, Paul Townsend, he managed to find a little sponsor from Purple Loans. So he said, I think I can make this happen, you know, I think it was 25 grand. I don't know if it's going to be talking money, but anyway, 25 grand at the time. I mean, that was $1 million you'd buy a house with at the time. But for me, you know, I'd never, ever had any cash sponsors ever. So I went up to Canute and said, like, you remember Canute?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, loads of stories with Canute. But anyway, went to Canute, and of course, his eyes light up, 25 grand. He said, no, you don't realise, you know, we want to do the whole season. So I think there was 6 races, and there was 1 or 2 other bits and pieces in the meantime, being like the Easter Thunderball, something like that, which wasn't part of the FIA at the time. So we agreed, you know, he would have to pay, you know, to get the crew there to work on my car. So, I mean, in your head, quickly, this is adding up. So he's ferrying a car for me, all the crew, the hotels, then he's paying for all the damage that happens. Wow. We've got my crew on the car, and would you believe it? That's when we won the championship as a rookie. That was just Twilight Zone. Like, what the hell happened there? It was just, we shouldn't be allowed to do it for 25 grand, you know. But Canute was like, his eyes lit up, oh, give me the money, and he threw the car up the top, and oh yeah, that's okay, we're going anyway, kind of deal. But but he was a taskmaster. Lots of funny stories. Quick one, when I first met him. So I'm not allowed to touch the car at the time because nobody knows, even though I'm a licensed American mechanic, you know, everyone's got their jobs, and you know, it doesn't matter if you don't know what you're doing, you're a pain in the neck, and it's, you know, you need time out to teach with every aspect of these cars. It's a real fine-tuned machine. But anyway, so I wasn't touching the car, so I was helping. So first thing, he gets some load of money off his girlfriend. Her name was Debbie. She was a Texas lady. So he's got her over. So he says to Debbie and me, he says, "Hey, you guys don't do anything. Go and wash the Suburban." And we looked at each other like, she's a millionairess. And he's telling her to go and wash it. Well, this Suburban, I want to give him 500 quid for it. It was this rusty piece of shit, but it was our top. And he had me and freaking Debbie washing it when we was abroad, like at Finland or wherever. We're washing this freaking Suburban. I'm going like, man, oh man. And then we had another friend of ours, Irish Ray. He was just a fan who found drag racing and started coming over with his brother, and he came on tour with us just to be part of it. Didn't really know a lot about the car at the time, but he was willing to help. So Canute had him cleaning parts all weekend, but he didn't give him voice or anything. He was doing it with gasoline. So Canute had him cleaning all the parts with gas. So this poor guy, he was marinating in gas. Had to get back on the plane and fly to Ireland. And no matter how much you shower, you never get rid of the smell of gas.
No.
But oh, Canute, he didn't care. Yeah.
No. But at least you clean the windows on a Suburban. I'll tell you what, when you come back over here, Smax, it'd be really cool to come down and clean Tony Betts's windows.
No, he'll be videoing it. He'll be milking that. I'll go with to Tony and have a beer with him.
Definitely, mate. Definitely. So, obviously, for those people who don't know, you're Ant Hill Mob in the States.
Yeah.
Triple Two.
Ant Hill Mob globally. It's the Ant Hill Mob racing team. So we were at the Ant Hill Mob when we was in England. We started.
Yeah.
So we've just always been the Ant Hill Mob. So my boy Aidan, he started the Ant Hill Mob Facebook page. So anyone's welcome to come join, follow, and he updates it 3 or 4 times a day. You know, he's on. Whereas those old guys, everything's a pain in the neck when it comes to the internet. But
we know that.
It took 2 weeks just to sign up for a Zoom. But
yeah. But I mean, it's been amazing chatting to you, Smax. I hope that we can catch up again very soon.
Yeah.
You know, loads of people have said hello to you and everything else. This will go out there on YouTube. It'll go out on our Facebook page. We'll send it over to you as well. So we'll send it on Messenger to you. You can do whatever you want with it then and get it out there in the States as well, because we love you, man.
Yeah, and last thing I got to say is, because they're going on YouTube, just to say that we're getting serious, we've already run 3.06 to the 8th mile at only 277. So that is the times for running 3. So our car is probably a 379 car now, as we are. We haven't done it yet, but we're very close. So I'm hoping to go back to North Carolina in 2 weeks. IHRA race and see what happens, and let's see if we can turn on some win lights.
Absolutely.
But everybody back home, you know, British fans, European fans, you're the best, and you can take them out of Preston, but you'll never take Preston out of the man.
No, definitely not. Preston is the place.
Yeah.
Okay, Smax, love you, man. We'll speak to you very soon, and whatever you do, stay safe out there, and we all love you.
Okay, be lucky.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Bye-bye, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye.